Okay, we've got everybody here, so we're a couple of minutes before 5, but if it's all right with everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody, they put signs on the microphones that say "speak into mic," so please pull your microphone up so that Steve can hear everybody. Now, is that better? Good, okay, very good. I want to welcome everybody, and we have pretty weather, and here we all are inside. So we don't have a complicated agenda, so we'll move into the minutes of the October 4th, 2021 regular meeting. Those were available on online. Were there any additions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to accept?
I so move.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Ms. Salter and seconded by Dr. Horton to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Ms. Rock, is there any old business to come before the commission?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Thank you. We'll move directly into new business, Holy Cross Catholic Church. This is to ratify, this is the building across the street, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it's the rectory.
All right, is there anything you would like to say? Since it was painting only, we approved it administratively.
No, just, you know.
You want to go up to the mic, if you don't mind, would you go up to the mic? And commissioners, this is a contributing, it is a contributing structure.
It was ratified, it was voted, it was approved already, correct?
Yes, and he wanted to make a comment. These are the colors. It's the little house across the street. We just had
It's the same colors that were there.
change.
A little bit
No, we're
changed.
changing the
A little
colors.
bit, okay.
That's fine.
And like I said, it is a contributing structure, but I'm glad you're changing the colors.
Yeah, us too.
Okay. All right, commissioners, this is an application for ratification.
I moved to ratify.
I'll second.
Mr. Donahoe has moved to ratify. Dr. Horton has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, you're done.
Good deal. I can go to church.
Thank you very much. 110102, L.J. Melder, 309 Jefferson Street, same colors, and this is also for
I
ratification.
move to ratify.
I'll second.
Okay, Dr. Horton has moved to ratify, Ms. Salter has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposition?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one other little question, and I may be
Sure.
out of order,
No, that's all right.
but close to this property, 2 houses down, is the extension of Poet Street into the river, which is our property.
Right.
And we wanted to add another section of concrete to our parking court. Is that something I need to bring up next meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
unless,
unless they're pouring
are
tomorrow?
you, unless they're pouring tomorrow? Well, let me think about that. Mr. Donahoe, what do you think?
I mean, I'd have no problem moving to, you're just adding on a section to your driveway to the side, is that essentially what you're doing?
Okay, before we can, but before, no, wait. Before we can address it, we've got to amend the agenda to include it.
I'd like to move to amend the agenda to take
You're
up,
right.
No, we don't, yeah, we need to wait.
What an application.
Dr. Horton has reminded me we do not have a formal application for you, so,
is there any way to amend his application that we just ratified?
It's a different house.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
different.
yeah,
okay.
totally different.
I have no issue with it. We have no issue with what he's pursuing, but it's going to require an application.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was the same.
Okay.
But it's not I don't see an issue with concrete. It's just do an application for that property.
We've just got to be careful about how we present things. Okay? All right, you're done with the other. 110103, Clay Mayu, the Natchitoches Deli and Pub, 584 Front Street, Suite 103. And Mr. Mayu, do you mind coming up to the microphone, please? Only if you brought dinner.
Yes.
Just in spirit, we brought dinner tonight.
Good.
Thank y'all for having me. I guess the reason I'm here is I would like to present my application for signage, and I have a copy with Natchitoches spelled correctly on it this time.
This is the property on the corner of Church in front?
Yes, sir.
The little-
Yes.
And
Yeah,
It's a
where
coffee
Mill's
shop.
used to be.
I looked at Brenda's and at Mercy Boku, and they have stenciling similar to this on their windows. It says, one of them says Mercy Boku, and another one says Brenda's.
Yeah.
And they're roughly anywhere from 16 to 28 inches wide and 8 to 12 inches tall. So I was gonna let the people at Signs and Banners take that logo and make it look as centrifugal as it can to fit those windows to match whatever they think it looks the best in white
It's just
lettering.
like
Yeah, it's a standard size on all those windows that they did.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
And you've got double because you've got two streets, so you've got double the
One.
size, right? Yeah, I moved to approve the
Oh,
application.
wait, I have a
Wait, we've
question.
got
I'm sorry.
another sign. 1 second.
I have a question. Okay, is this right here for a hanging sign, or is this just for the windows?
I was gonna use that for the windows,
Uh-huh.
okay, and it would be solid white stencils, just
Okay.
like Brenda's and
Right,
Mercy
right, I know what you're
Boku.
talking about, right.
The hanging sign, I would use the same dimensions as the existing sign was, in an oval, unless they wanna make it do something like that at the top, I don't really care. And here are the letters and the colors that Porter's is gonna use on our floor mat. So I figured they would look wonderful on that hanging sign as
So it's
well.
black and white.
Well, actually, these have, the letters for mine used to be black. The fleur-de-lis will be red with gold accents. The swirly thing is black.
Right,
The actual
iron.
Natchitoches letters are black. The little dots are gold accents on the
Okay.
inside of deli and pub.
Okay,
And the deli and pub will be a red banner with white lettering.
got it,
And Natchitoches is black on the
got
bottom.
it. So red, white, black, gold, okay.
So this application, I'm glad you, it has essentially two components. One is for the hanging sign, and the also is for the sign on the windows, is that right?
Yeah,
And, it's a double-sided sign, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Same size as what's there already.
Yes, sir.
You know, at the appropriate time, I move to approve the application.
It's appropriate.
And
I'll second.
We'll be the second.
Yeah, we'll
All right,
second.
Mr. Donahoe has moved to accept the application as presented. Who seconded?
We did.
Ms. Salter, Ms. Salter seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, great.
Guys, thank y'all so much.
Oh, and good.
When are we
good
opening?
luck.
Just make sure you drop off our gift cards on the
Yes, sir.
way.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. As soon as I get enough help, yeah.
And
As
I
soon as you
get,
get
I
one.
get two.
Is that not amazing? It's getting help now.
Yeah, but we get
good
good help though. The help that we're getting has been good help, so it's,
It's just taking time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so, we had a meeting yesterday for all those that wanted to work down there, and 2 of them showed up. Yeah.
That's about par.
But I'm not gonna take any from the other restaurant down there, I don't wanna get too much. Anyhow, enough about restaurant biz. Thank y'all kindly.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Bob.
very much. We look forward to visiting it. Okay, 110104, David Cleary, Cane River Trading Post, and Patrick Hollier is representing Mr. Cleary.
I have printouts.
Okay.
Which building is, where is
Yeah,
where is 550 front? Which,
It's right next to the latest. It's the old bathhouse.
Oh.
Silvery.
Suppery, okay, the old Suppery, okay. Cane River Trading Post, okay.
And my client wasn't able to make it, so I'm representing. I hope I can answer all the questions.
Same size as what was there
Same
before.
size as before. He has 21 feet of frontage, so that sign, 11 1/4 inches by 28 inches, double-sided, works out to those available. That would max out the signage. We're looking at 1-inch wood stained with black acrylic lettering, both sides.
And it'll hang from the post like all the other ones do?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
I move to approve the application. Second.
Mr. Donahoe has moved to approve the application as presented. Dr. Owens has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? 110105, the First United Methodist Church, and there's no one
You're
here representing the church, so we will assume that they'll come to the meeting in December, which would be the 6th. Okay.
We're hoping.
Is there an application in there?
I don't think we placed it in there.
For the,
We didn't place it in there.
Church?
Church, no.
No. We didn't place their application in.
Pardon?
We were hoping they were gonna show up, but
Well, he did come in a week or so ago, and Ms. Oakes was out for surgery, so we just had a little miscommunication. And I did try and reach Sydney Evans today and couldn't. I texted him and left him a message, so I feel like if he had felt it was necessary to be here, he would have made arrangements. So we'll check back. Okay? All right. 110104, Ben Barron, Rock House presentation, and Ms. Cunningham, I think, is going to make an introduction.
In 1 minute or less.
Yeah.
See, you lost time because last month Dr. Barron took all your time. So you're down to just 30 seconds.
Okay,
You started with 10 minutes, you're down to 30 seconds.
Please
but you
start
took
from
all
the
of yours
beginning of the
and-
process.
yes, I will. I'm here to introduce Mr. Brian, who is our architect. And he's going to give you all of the information that you need, no doubt.
Thank you.
Very good, Eric. And you do have the file, everybody has the file on the foundation and the slides.
All right, I'll go like that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to come up and give you all an update. We were here about 2 months ago and had a nice, wonderful preliminary hearing to go over what we're planning. We haven't changed anything, but we've got a lot more details, and we were able to share a lot of that and some information that Mr. Barron had brought to the group. So as a quick reminder, our intent here is that, one, we want to lift up the rock house, slide it away from the river, get it closer to the side of the berm, and then open up the entire riverfront from north to south. Then as a way to add to the mission, we're adding a small building that's going to be off to the side and behind it. As we presented to you before, none of those plans have really changed, but we've offered more details for your consideration. Our first page, you can see we found some historical photographs. The first one is the building before it was moved. The second one would be the building when it appeared in 1967 when they were trying to put it back together. And we've learned that they've had some challenges back then trying to put it back together. And they actually were not able to completely put it back together. So a lot of folks have asked, why the roof and why the building aren't balanced and not symmetrical. And the reason why was they didn't finish the end of the building that was closest to the front street. So what we're planning to do is to help balance the building out. So if you go to the next slide, please. All right, this next drawing represents our demolition plan and architectural work. You can see the graded area, the gray shaded area in the middle of the drawing. That represents where the rock house sits today and a lot of the existing conditions. We're going to be picking the building up carefully, rotating it and sliding it a few more feet away from the bank. We're also going to be elevating it. Right now, we're currently planning to raise it just over 25 inches higher than where it sits today. We have to be cautious on how we raise the building and its elevation because we don't want to make it appear that it's actually taller than it's supposed to be, but we also don't want to impose any new soil loads on the trees in the area. So we've been very sensitive to all of the constraints that we're dealing with. So we will be tearing down the retaining wall that's currently there now and replacing it with a new wall. The retaining wall will move back a little bit closer to Front Street. And if you go to the next slide, please. This plan represents our current thoughts. One of our partners, Jeff Carbo with Carbo Landscapes, has been instrumental in helping us with our layout of the rest of the property. This is a snippet of the north portion of Rue Beaufort, and you can see where the single building is, which is kind of in the left-right orientation, adjacent to the current oak tree. If you could imagine where the corner of the old rock house is, the corner of the old rock house and the corner of the new rock house will kind of share the same area of the footprint. So we're not moving it too far back into the hill, but we are moving it far enough so that now we can have a nice, clear line of sight from the pavilion all the way to the north end of the property, taking into account the filtering of the branches of the oak trees. We are also starting to develop walkways that you can see. The darker colors are some of our new construction. The lighter colors represent what's there currently. And then the building to the right and behind in the corner, that's our new support building. That's the area where we have storage areas, restrooms, janitor's closet, and a mechanical room. These are the functions of the building that are going to help the Rock House with its new mission, and that is to be able to provide lots of opportunities for commercial use and for education. So rather than adding on to the Rock House, which would kind of change the historical significance of the building, we've decided to present it as a separate building off to the side. If you're familiar with Beaujardin, there's a stairway that comes down the back of that property. If you imagine walking down the stairs and then it kind of just dead ends into a flat spot, that's basically where the center line of the support building will be. It's a dog trot style. So that'll help everyone get an idea of where we're trying to orient this support building. Any questions so far? Anybody?
What will go where the Rock House currently sits? Just gonna be landscaping? What's gonna go in that little spot?
What we're going to do is we will return the landscaping in that area to blend it in with the rest of the area. We definitely will be taking care of some utility issues. We know that there's a lift station that supports the Rock House today, and we'll be taking that out of the ground, and then we'll be providing sod and landscaping materials so that when we walk away, you'll never know that the Rock House was there.
One thing, the oak tree, the very large oak tree that we just are trying to keep alive, I noticed that you're really closing in on that. It's the farthest one to the left. You're really closing in on that with walkways.
Yes, ma'am. That oak tree we all recognize is in a state of distress. It's just not as well developed as some of the other trees. Now, we are staying well away from the drip line of that tree. We're not encroaching it. We were able to have a civil engineering company do a survey, and we're pretty confident that the clouded area that represents the drip line of that tree, you can see it's not getting, we're not underneath that drip line. And when I mentioned earlier the level of importance that we're paying attention to on the contours, we're not going to be building any new fill materials on top of the roots that are underneath the drip line. We understand that adds stress to a tree. So we're trying to leave that entire landscaped area graded as it is today. But our other sidewalks, and as we taper back closer into the hill, we're going to start bringing up some of our grades. One of the unique things about the site is that, when we pick the building up and move it, it's not that it's going to be elevated completely taller. All of that grade also is going uphill as well. So it helps soften the impact of what we're trying to do. We know that in 2016, water inundated the building, and we believe the water entered at an elevation that will be below the finished floor of our new relocated Rock House. So we hope that we don't relive it again, but if we do, we're trying to improve the opportunity of preserving the building as Ben has charged us with another 100 years of longevity.
Let's go back to the oak tree, because I want to bring one thing up. That tree, when Ben and I and the tree service people that we use were down on the riverbank, one thing that was brought up was, of course, the branches that are on the roof that are going to be removed, and Ben's coordinating that with the tree service. We were told that it would probably take at least 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 10 years for the tree to come back to life.
Right.
So it's been fertilized, it's been aerated, it has been trimmed, but very, very carefully. So we're going to watch that. It's such an important element of that whole area. So sensitivity to that.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think, and the tree behind the rock house,
That-
directly north.
We are very sensitive to trying to preserve all of those beautiful oak trees. And with that being said, the second oak tree, the one that's in the center of the site, when we relocate the rock house, we'll actually be improving the longevity of that tree because the branches of that tree are well over the roof of the rock house where it sits today. So we're going to be picking it up and moving it into the clear, and then our secondary building that we're adding, our support building, will be near the drip edge, but we're also designing the building so that it's going to be very low in profile. We're trying to minimize the lift. As an example, the restroom building that's on the south end of the property, it has ceilings that are approximately 9.5 feet tall. Well, we're looking at 8 feet for our ceiling height, so that means our roof edge is also going to be lower. It's going to be really compact, but the whole point is that we want to stay out of those trees as much as possible.
Good.
So we're sensitive to that. We came out last month, we kind of did an unofficial stakeout. We had flags out there, so we're getting more and more comfortable, but we know we're going to have some challenges. There'll be some tree pruning that's necessary, but overall, we think we're trying to provide the best opportunity for all of those major trees.
Okay, thank you.
I assume during the time that the work's being performed, those areas around the oak trees will be fenced off. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I assume I just want to make sure somebody either from y'all's office or Mr. Carbo's office is going to be periodically monitoring the site as the work's being done to make sure that those areas aren't encroached upon.
Just like when Ruboport was done, remember,
right.
and all the trees were flagged.
Our current construction documents have several pages of information in the landscape area. One of them is tree protection. And our documents currently will be requiring the contractor to put protective fencing around the drip line of all the trees. And the direction is clear. There's no storage of materials, no work to be going on underneath those trees. And if there is work that's required, there will probably be some utilities that will be abandoned or that we may have to find. You know, whenever you put a shovel in the ground, we're going to find something. But it's clear that an arborist or someone from the city or someone from the design team will be a part of the decision-making process and observing that as it goes forward.
That's what I was wanting to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide, please.
Oh, go ahead, and then I have a question then.
Okay. Our next image is that of the new rock house. From the photograph on the upper right corner, you can see how the building is not symmetrical with the roof. And I mentioned earlier, we think that the end of the building, which is on the left side, just wasn't reconstructed. So we have to rebuild the roof anyway. We have to take the roof apart in order to move the building. You can't move it as one piece. So when we go to rebuild it, we plan on using the components of the dismantled roof as much as possible. But we do want to reconfigure that roof and the relationship to the building underneath so that we have an equal overhang on all four sides. That would be somewhat similar to what we think the rock house could have been at some point in its past. But again, it's not exactly a historic restoration. We've always mentioned that we're rejuvenating this building so that we can continue its legacy, but also provide economic opportunities. The lower portion of the plan is the current floor plan. It's the 3-room stay. We're planning on to utilize and salvage as many of the existing materials as possible. We know we have some walls that are damaged. We know we have some walls that will be repaired. We know that we have some of the half timber framing elements that need to be replaced. We know we have some sills that are damaged. And our intent will be to use similar species of woods, similar species of other materials for the Signage construction. We also want to use the same construction techniques that will be visible to everybody. For instance, the kerf joints that are used for the way the scarfing was done with some of the sills. We want to make sure that we're using that when we splice in some of our new materials. We know that we're going to raise this building up. We'll be using sinker cypress in order to create the pillow blocks that are going to help support this thing from keeping it above the ground. And we will be rebuilding the fireplace. The fireplace can't stay as we move it. And we know that the fireplace was rebuilt. What we don't know is if it's even a fair representation of what was in the building originally. We're not planning on using the brick from the fireplace because we know it is not, it doesn't appear to be a brick that would reflect what it would have been done in the early 1800s. So the fireplace goes on new foundations. The building will be on new foundations. When we're done, no one will see the new foundations because it'll all be buried beneath the landscaping. And our pillow blocks will be supporting the building just as you would have seen it before it was moved in 1967.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you go back to your support buildings, when y'all were here last time, there was discussion about what the exterior surface was going to be. Have you all zeroed in more on
We do.
that?
We have an image of it. It'll be coming up in a second.
Oh, I'm
Just a
sorry.
little bit
Wasn't
of
in our little
thunder. That's
pamphlet here,
okay.
so- Okay,
You should have it.
I see it now on the back page. I didn't
Okay.
see that before.
Let's go to the next slide. Again, additional elevations of the rock house. We will be taking the clapboard siding down off of the ends of the building because we're now going to have greater protection with the larger overhang. You know, architecturally, this is a really fascinating building, and we want people to be able to really get up close and appreciate the techniques that was used in its construction. So we're going to peel back some of that skin, but still protect it with the broader overhangs. And that's clearly represented here with our elevations.
That's very nice.
All right, next slide, please. Our support building, you are correct. We had, in our last opportunity to get together, we had talked about possibly using a skin that would have been similar to what is in the building at the south end of the property. We have since moved away from that because architecturally we really want this building to become submissive to the rock house, meaning we want it to go back into the background. We don't want it to draw attention. We already have them really close together, which was necessary for the support of it, but we didn't want to try to mimic the material, so we're looking at using a cementitious siding, hardy plank, and using cedar timbers, which is, again, materials that are already used on site. The building at the south end has these materials. We plan on using the same colors of stain on the cedar. We plan on using the same color of paint on the doors, the frames, and the siding. We also plan to use the same technique of creating a faux window system with closed shutters to give it a sense of scale and not have a really blank wall. But you can see from our elevation at the upper left-hand corner, that's the actual back side of the building. And that's the side of the building that faces Beau Jardin. So we weren't planning on articulating that because that really is the back side. But you can see we've articulated the two end elevations and the front elevation. Again, the whole purpose of this support building is to provide the spaces necessary for things to move in and out of the rock house itself, and also to provide male and female restrooms. We know that the restroom that's on the rock house today is not an original function. That's coming down. We're trying to get back to just a 3-room structure. And, but in order to make it economically viable, we needed to find a way to add program so that it would work.
Basically using this as their guide, okay.
The lower right-hand picture is of the existing restroom facility, and again, that's just a representation of where we had set our target. You know, we will have a similar roof shape, but again, we're not going to bring it up as high as the current restroom building because we'll get into the trees. But we're going to kind of lower it, but we'll keep the same general shape. You can tell from the images, it's still fairly representative, but it will certainly be camouflaged because of the tree canopies that are on the front and the back of it. Lower left-hand corner is just the current floor plan. We have storage for the rock house. We have storage for Beau Jardin. We have a janitor's closet to help support both the rock house and this building, male and female, with a larger female restroom and countertops for makeup. We do anticipate bridal activities. And in the lower left-hand corner is a small mechanical electrical room. If you want to get into the nuts and bolts of MEP, we're trying to minimize the technology in the rock house, make it disappear. So when you walk into the space, we don't want any of the technology overcoming the aesthetics of the rock house. So we're trying to feed everything for the rock house out of this building, and that's one of our points.
What's the square footage of that building?
It's about, I want to say about 890 square feet total.
Okay.
And
The
it's
support building.
support
Yeah, that's what
building.
I'm trying
Actually, the footprint of both of the buildings are fairly similar, with the rock house being slightly larger.
So the rock house is only about 800 square feet?
It's roughly 20 and change by 42 foot.
It's what?
It's a 20 foot
Next door to y'all.
deep by 42 foot wide.
But you've also got this between it.
Yeah, the dog trot style for us was a way that we could minimize the volume of the building and use the stairway that goes up to the back as an organizing element.
But that's going to all be redone, correct? You're talking-
We are planning to add to our scope of work, and we're starting to detail it now, the correction of the concrete steps that come down from Front Street down. It'll be an item that we'll identify as what we call as an add alternate. It's in our contract documents. We want to figure out what the cost of it will be and then find out ways that we can get it paid for. So
They're
it will be a
awful.
part of our documents.
Those are terrible stairs.
Yes, ma'am. Stairs that go to nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to give them a purpose.
Good.
And Miss Leo is aware of it. She's going to be happy to use these stairs once we get them safe and sound.
And then, Ms. Cunningham, you're still planning on getting rid of the magnolia that's in such, that's really diseased and, okay.
The removal of that magnolia is kind of key to opening up that entire back of that site. So we're very excited that we'll have that opportunity. The magnolia, as beautiful as it is a messy tree. And it'll really change the character of that entire side of the hill, which will be very helpful in helping us with security and just general maintenance and landscaping.
Well, it's not a viable tree anyway. It's got some issues, so I think replacing it
This one?
is wise, and the steps.
I believe that's our last slide. Does anyone have any other questions? Because I'd like, if with your grace, we're seeking approval so that we can proceed.
And is there anything in addition to this that we need to address your application? Because you're asking for final approval.
I believe we, with the help of Ben, submitted an application that met all the requirements. I'd mentioned that the colors and materials that we want to use, which is it's a very important element for this organization. You can see them on the building. I was there today. We were planning to stain the color to match.
Are you
So
talking about you're going to match?
not the Santa building.
You're going to match this building?
Yes, ma'am.
The restroom building?
Yes.
Okay.
There's that building has cementitious siding that has a paint color. We'll want to use that paint color.
Okay.
It has cedar
posts?
columns in the front that are stained to gray.
Right, got it.
We know what that gray is now, and I went down there and matched it. The trim around, the outlookers, were all, the shake roof, we're all very
Okay.
interested in making it blend in.
Okay.
And those colors, when you get samples of them, we'll need those in the Historic District Commission office.
Okay, I have samples of what, if you'd like to see them right now, or do you want to have physical samples?
It's just making sure they're in the file.
Yeah.
That's all.
What we will do is we'll be documenting them in our construction
The
documents.
only reason is 100 years from now that there's a file.
Right.
There's a file, you would hope, that we wouldn't be going through this, they wouldn't be going through this again, because we all.
We would certainly be able to provide that, but we will also have that in our closeout documents as well. So there'll be multiple
Because
locations
that'll
for
need to
that.
be archived
Yes.
Yeah.
at Watson Library.
Right.
So
Right.
this doesn't go away again.
Well, definitely, the contractor's going to want to know the color, and we're going to tell them, and we'll document that.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Donahoe, you have any questions? Dr. Owen? Ms.
I move to
Salter?
approve.
Dr. Horton?
No?
I'll second approval.
Did you move? Okay. Mr. Donahoe has moved to approve the application as presented. Dr. Horton has seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposition? Okay. Have at it.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very
It's
much.
nice, very, very nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
Commissioners,
nice.
we don't have any other business, do we?
No,
We
ma'am.
didn't have anything that was added. Our next meeting will be Monday, December the 6th. That ought to be great, because it'll be the Monday after Christmas Festival. So that'll be a good time for us all to get together and not be tired. Sure.
And board meeting for this one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we've got that too. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Mr. Donahoe has moved to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
Ms. Salter has seconded. Any further discussion?